You're very welcome to today's webinar. My name is Anna and I'm the Marketing Manager here at Cloudmore. So the primary purpose of today's webinar is to explain why not all Microsoft CSP automation platforms are created equal, and to discuss why Cloudmore is a chosen platform for some of the world's largest CSPs. For those of you who are not familiar with Cloudmore is a privately held Swedish company with offices in Sweden, Estonia, the UK and the US. We are proud to have customers worldwide from the Nordics and throughout Europe, Australia to South Africa and in the USA. These customers generate hundreds of millions in CSP revenue. We have also recently partnered with Daisy, the leading telecommunications provider in the UK, and Cedar, the largest IT services provider in Spain. The Cloudmore Cloud Brokerage solution has been developed over 10 years and is used by organizations to help them sell, buy, consume, and manage their processes, people, and financial transactions. It is delivered as a true SaaS multi-tenant service. And we describe our platform as being simple, powerful, and beautiful for the users, administrators, and the managers that use our system. And it's this belief that drives us to provide the best possible solution for managing hybrid IT. So today's webinar will cover 100% real-time synchronization with Cloudmore, how and why CSP billing can quickly go wrong, the CSP billing best practices, and the real reason why customer self-service is essential to the CSP program. I'm now going to pass you to our sales manager, David Wallace, who will deliver today's demonstration.
Thanks, Anna, and thank you to everybody who's taken the time to join us today. For those of you that don't know me, my name's David Wallace, and I'm sales manager here at Cloudmore. I've been with the business for 8 years, and I'm responsible for leading sales of our solution to cloud brokers across the globe. I've worked with the Microsoft CSP program since 2015, and I estimate that in that time, I've been engaged with over 200 direct Microsoft CSPs. On the webinar today, I want to share some of their experiences and the reasons they've told me they have chosen Cloudmore, and why they believe Cloudmore is the best CSP platform available in the market. The Cloudmore solution has been developed based on suggestions from customers. Over the last 12 months, 85% of the new features we have added have been based on customer feedback. As Anna said in the introduction, I'm going to cover 4 main areas. Please use the chat facility if you have any questions, and I will take the opportunity to answer the questions as I go through the presentation. Let's start with the importance of 100% real-time synchronization. Before I explain why it is important, let me briefly explain what I mean by 100% real-time synchronization. All your CSP data should be available in your platform of choice. Every customer, every service, and every subscription, along with their associated costs, should be synchronized. Any changes that are made, regardless of the source of the change, should be reflected in real time. So when you add a new customer or update a subscription, or if your customer is doing this themselves via a self-service portal, that change should show in the partner center immediately, and the service or new license should be available immediately. Both of these points sound like common sense, and you would think that all CSP automation platforms would deliver against them. However, this is not the case, and in fact, it's quite a technical challenge to achieve this. Because here at Cloudmore, we've had 15+ years experience of working with vendors and their APIs. When we developed our integration using the Microsoft CSP APIs, we developed it with these principles in mind. So why is it important to have 100% real-time synchronization? The first reason is potential for revenue leakage. Without being 100% sure that all your data is in your automation platform, you can't be sure that there is no revenue leakage, or in other words, costs that you are incurring but not forward invoicing to your customers. If this happens, your margin can get eroded very, very quickly. The next reason is a breakdown in process automation. Many of our customers do not want internal staff to use the partner center for provisioning subscriptions or changing quantities of subscriptions. There are a number of reasons for this, including making sure they have an enhanced audit trail and making sure the defined processes and tools are used. However, if not all customer data is available, or the user is not confident that the change will be applied immediately, the user will default back to using the partner center, defeating the purpose of putting an automation tool in place. And finally, customer satisfaction. If a customer self-serves, they expect to see the change that they have made be available immediately. If your platform does not sync in real time, this will not meet your customer's expectation, and ultimately they will churn. I have heard horror stories of some platforms taking up to 7 hours to sync with the partner center and CSPs losing thousands in revenue because of customer churn. So how does Cloudmore deliver 100% real-time sync? The Cloudmore CSP integration will show all of your CSP tenants and allow you to link each tenant to an organization or customer record. We have a process that automatically does this, including creating a customer record if one does not exist. The warning message will display a notification to say that there are unlinked tenants, and below we can see the tenants that are not linked to a customer record. This process is 100% automatic if all new customers are added via Cloudmore and not in the partner center. However, as tenants are also created, or more technically transferred by Microsoft when a customer accepts an invitation from you to be their CSP provider, this functionality is super handy to make sure every customer is synced. And of course, if any rogue staff create via the partner center, they will also show here in this list. We also have a fail-safe check when CSP billing reports are ran. Here, we can see an Azure billing report and a notification to say that Microsoft costs have been incurred, but the customer is not linked in the Cloudmore. I'm going to cover this in more detail later in the presentation when I talk about billing best practices. With regards to real-time sync, I don't have time on this webinar to jump on and show you creating a new customer or changing a subscription and jumping between the partner center to show you it updating. However, I can assure you that it is in real time, and I would be happy to arrange a one-to-one demo to prove this to you. Just drop me an email if you want to arrange this. Does anybody have any questions before I move on to the next section?
David, we have had 2 questions come on through the chat. So the first question is, does your integration include the new MFA that Microsoft require?
It certainly does, Anna. Yep, we implemented that the day that Microsoft launched it, and it is all active in the platform using the new token system that Microsoft made available.
Brilliant. Okay, good stuff. And the second question, if a customer makes a change to a subscription via your platform and it updates in the partner center in real time, do I have any control, or can they order whatever they want?
That's a really good question. So yes, you do have control. So although our integration is in real time, when your customers self-serve, we also have an approvals process that sort of interrupts the API call. So what it does is your customer makes the request to change the quantity of licenses, for example. Our approvals process will kick in to say that the broker needs to approve this. And then the broker will get a notification, and it appears in a list within Cloudmore as well, in their version of Cloudmore. And then once they accept it, those API calls get pinged off to Microsoft and the changes are made available to the customer immediately.
Perfect. Great, David. That's it at the minute.
Excellent. I shall continue. Keep the questions coming. So how and why can CSP billing go wrong so quickly? There are three main reasons why your CSP billing can go wrong. Not all costs are forward invoiced. In other words, Microsoft bills you, but you don't forward bill everything to your customer. I'm yet to meet an accounts department or finance director that doesn't want a surefire way to make sure that all costs incurred by customers are forward invoiced. Yet I find it amazing that not all platforms offer a simple way of checking this. The principal reason that all costs are not included in billing reports is normally because the data has not been synced and some customer data is missing. However, it can also be because of the way some platforms calculate the costs and the sales totals. I would suggest that you check if your platform is trying to replicate the Microsoft calculations or if it is using the API that Microsoft have made available that Cloudmore uses. I'm not saying it's incorrect if a platform acts as a rating engine. However, it is then rare that the costs will reconcile with the Microsoft invoice, which means you lose an important check and balance opportunity, which opens up the risk of revenue leakage. The second reason is incorrect cost or sales prices are used. Your invoices don't reflect the price that you've agreed with your customer. To calculate correct billing, you obviously need to make sure the sales price has been set correctly. I'm sure that for Office 365, you're aware of the price list that Microsoft publishes each month with the latest costs and the suggested sales price. This is the Excel file that they publish in the Partner Center. The challenge with many platforms is how do you maintain this information in the service catalog of the platform? Thirdly, you miscalculate pro rata charges or consumption. I think we all know the complexities of the pro rata charging for O365 and the potential challenges for tracking Azure consumption. Calculating pro rata charges can be difficult, but one of the greatest attractions of CSP for customers is only to pay for the subscriptions that they use, and the ability to add and remove at any time is one of the key reasons customers move from other programs to CSP. This is one of the areas that causes billing to go wrong. When choosing a platform, you should make sure that it follows the Microsoft billing rules and the benefits of these rules are passed to your customers. So let's look at some of the CSP best billing practices. I'm going to cover how your monthly CSP billing can be processed in Cloudmore and our suggested best practice. Let's start by looking at how we manage O365 pricing and Azure margin in Cloudmore. In Cloudmore, as part of our service, we automatically update the pricing every month when Microsoft publishes an update. We also follow the Microsoft billing rules exactly. The default price that we set will be the suggested sales price, but we have functionality that allows you to change this either on a global basis or on a per customer basis. We follow all of the Microsoft billing rules, so we lock the cost price and the sales price for a 12-month period. So if Microsoft changes a price, it will remain locked for any existing customers and will only apply to new customers. There are a few different ways you can set customer prices as you process new business, but I don't have time to cover that today. I would also suggest that when you're selecting a CSP platform, you check if the full service catalog is automatically loaded and updated, or if you manually have to do this when Microsoft makes changes. If it's manual, that often leads to billing errors. With regards to managing Azure margin, Cloudmore uses a rate card API to see all 12,000 plus resources that can be provisioned. On this screen, we apply a default 15% margin, so your customers are automatically charged the Microsoft list price. You can easily set a different margin per customer. If you have a customer using a large amount of Azure resources, then you can apply a lower margin only for that customer. Any changes that are made to the customer margin are automatically tracked and can be seen in the history and also in the event log. You also have the ability to apply different margins to different Azure subscriptions. This is used by our existing CSP customers where they offer a managed service for some Azure resources and apply a higher percentage margin. These resources are then contained in a specific Azure subscription. As I mentioned earlier, it is critical that you can reconcile your costs against your Microsoft invoice. Here, we can see a billing report for the O365 service. I have highlighted the total costs for the period ending the 2nd of November 2018. In this case, the expected costs are 164,896.71 cents. This cost will reconcile with your Microsoft invoice, as shown here. The same principle applies for Azure, where usage-based charges on your invoice can be reconciled with the billing calculations generated by Cloudmore. This is one of the key values that our customers report in using Cloudmore, as it gives them 100% confidence that all costs are accounted for and everything has been forward invoiced to their customers. We have a number of new customers that have moved to the Cloudmore platform because they've had revenue leakage when using other solutions. Along with reconciling costs, there are a number of other reports available and exports that can be used to check billing data is correct before generating the customer invoices. These include checking sales prices have been set correctly and margin levels have been maintained. The final step is to generate a summary invoice for each customer. In Cloudmore, we don't generate invoices, we pass the billing data to your ERP system. This can be done using either APIs or an export-import routine. An example of the data that we generated can be seen here. Here, we can see the total cost for the customer in the blue bar. Then we can see a summary for each subscription. Below each subscription, we have calculated the pro rata charges following the Microsoft billing rules. We can see a refund for an advance payment at the top, and then the pro rata charge for 1 seat for 10 days, 10 seats for 20 days, and then the advance charge for the 10 seats for the following month. We recommend that you send a summary invoice to your customer for either the total charges for O365 as a service, or you send them a single line item for each subscription. Exactly the same principle applies for the Azure service. Here we can see the Azure data set with a breakdown per customer, per subscription, and per category. I'm going to cover self-service next, and this will include how a customer can see a full breakdown of their incurred CSP costs via Cloudmore. This will also help explain why we recommend only a summary invoice is sent. Anna, is there any more questions that have come in via chat?
Thanks, David. There are a couple of questions, yes. So the first one is, you mentioned that Cloudmore does not generate invoices, but passes data to my ERP system. Can you explain in a bit more detail about how we do this?
Yep, certainly. So we have a number of APIs available in Cloudmore. We have an API called a service connector. And what that allows you to do, it's built on a REST API, which is an industrial standard. And what it allows you to do is to write the middleware to pull the data from Cloudmore and push it to your ERP system. For anyone that's developed anything using APIs, it's bread and butter for them.
Great, thank you. And there's one more question. Can a customer or their account manager see a more detailed breakdown of Azure usage in Cloudmore?
Yes, and I'm going to actually touch on that when we go and look at the self-service. So I'll park that one if that's okay. And then if I don't cover it in enough detail, whoever asked that question, if you want to raise it again at the end, I'll happily get into more detail for you.
Thank you, David.
Okay, so the final section of this webinar is going to be the real reason why customers self-serve, while customer self-service is essential to the CSP program. There is a misconception that customer self-service is about providing a marketplace to buy new services. A number of our customers have moved to Cloudmore from marketplace solutions because they were not seeing enough traction with new business being generated. I'm not for 1 minute saying that providing a marketplace that allows customers to buy a new service is a bad idea, but with the current market maturity, we have found that the majority of initial purchases are done with either assisted sales rather than by customer self-service. In the future, I think this will change, but currently we think the real reason to offer self-service is to enable your customers to manage their existing services and to understand how they are incurring costs. By using Cloudmore, you can offer your customers a full white-labeled portal to do this. Your customers can log in and can easily manage their existing services. The customer can see all of their existing O365 subscriptions, which includes the price you are charging, which was set in the price list that we looked at earlier, the quantity they have purchased, and the number that they've allocated to specific users. They can edit an existing subscription, and as I explained earlier, this change will be instantly available to them and reflected in the Partner Centre. Obviously subject to the approvals process that I talked about earlier as well, that can interrupt this. So you as the cloud service broker or the provider can trigger the approvals process and accept it before the calls go off to Microsoft and costs are incurred. I made the recommendation earlier to send only a summary invoice to your customers. One of the reasons for this was because in Cloudmore, your customers can see a full breakdown of how their costs have been calculated. They can run this report for any time period, and the data can be exported, if required, for onward processing. For Azure, your customers can easily see a summary of costs for past billing periods, shown here in the bar chart. They can load a forecast to see summary unbilled cost and the forecast for the remainder of the billing period. They can then select a specific period and drill down in more detail. Here they can see the total per subscription and per resource. If they require a comprehensive report on their Azure usage, they can generate an export file that gives a full breakdown of how costs have been incurred. Here, they can see individual items, the rate that you are charging them, which is calculated from your Microsoft cost price plus the margin that we talked about earlier. They can see their total charges, and also they can see the resource name, the resource group, and resource tags. We have a number of very large Azure end customer users that use this data to calculate and allocate costs to specific projects or specific cost centers. Before I pass back to Anna for the Q&A, I want to go through a quick checklist that covers if all CSP automation platforms are created easily. So these are the things that I suggest that you look at when reviewing either your existing platform or reviewing potential new platforms. Can you easily check if all your CSP data is synced? Is there a way where you can see all of your Microsoft CSP tenants that you would view in the Partner Center and check that you are also seeing all of that data in your platform of choice? Is the integration in real time? So when you make a change in your platform, does that change show immediately in the Partner Center? Do you have a way to reconcile your monthly costs? Can you easily look at your Microsoft invoice when it arrives and check in your platform that all costs have been accounted for and everything has been forward invoiced? Does the price list and service catalog update automatically? So when Microsoft issue a new subscription or change a price, do you manually need to go and update that? Or is it automatically reflected in the platform without you having to do anything? Does the platform allow your customers to truly manage their existing services, or does it concentrate on selling new services? And here we find that customers definitely want to be able to manage. So can they make changes? Can they look at which licenses have been allocated out to which users and manage the users? And finally, does it enable your customers to see an easy and simple cost breakdown of charges that they've incurred? Thanks again to everybody. I'm going to hand back now to Anna for the final part of the Q&A.
Thanks, David. That was great. We have quite a few questions today. So the first one is, what happens when Microsoft update their API?
Okay, so we track all of the API changes. So that's included as part of the service, as part of your subscription costs. We have a team of developers constantly working on improving the platform and maintaining the platform against any new API features that are available. So the platform gets updated automatically.
Okay, great. Do you support Azure reserved instances?
Yes, we certainly do.
Great. The third question, do your customers use a platform for just CSP automation?
No. So CSP is one part of our business, but other services can be loaded and managed in CloudMore in a very, very similar way to how I've just talked about O365 and Azure. We definitely don't position CloudMore as just a CSP automation platform. We position it as a cloud commerce platform for all of your subscription services. So would be delighted to get into more detail with that with whoever asked the question.
Okay, perfect. So we have a few more here and they're coming through quick and fast. How long does it take to go live and how do you support us?
Okay, so let me start with the how do we support you. So when we charge for CloudMore, we charge a subscription fee and we don't charge separately for onboarding services or setup services. They are all included within your monthly costs. How long does it take to go live? It's very quick to go live from a technical perspective, to get your account set up, to do your CSP integration and to pull your data into CloudMore. That's less than 24 hours. To go live really depends on your business and how you can implement it and roll it out to your internal users. But on average, I would say that most of our new customers are live within 30 days.
Okay, great. So the next question here is, do we support a reseller management solution?
Not sure if I 100% understand that question, so I'll rephrase the question and hopefully it's what whoever asked it means by it. So if you mean, do you support the ability to have resellers sitting underneath you? Then yes, we do. We have multiple layers in CloudMore, so you can have or act as a distributor at top and have resellers underneath it and then end customers at the bottom. So yes, you can have resellers within the platform.
Okay, and I think we have time for one more question. Are you planning to support ORI monthly build?
RI presumably means reserved instances monthly build. Yes, we are planning to do that. It's not live in the platform, but I had that very question off an existing customer recently, and I know Dev are working hard at getting that into the platform as quickly as possible.
Perfect. Okay, and we just have one of the attendees just comment that yes, the question was regarding resellers, so I think we answered that okay.
Excellent. I'm looking as well here, Anna, and I can see a question about, can I bundle my own products?
Yes.
We're working on this at the moment. We can do bundles of products currently, but we're doing some enhanced work with a couple of specific customers at the moment around bundling. So yes, we can do it, but it would depend specifically on your use case, whether we support it today or whether we need some new functionality, which, all being well, should be out in the platform within the next couple of months.
Perfect. Okay. I think we have a chat here, just David, if we've time to answer it very quickly. So whether the solution can be used to build other products other than CSP, like our own IP solutions, which are sold on a SaaS model?
Correct. Yes, it certainly can do.
Okay, and also can you brief a little more on the billing model? You mentioned it's subscription based. Is it based on a number of clients or users?
Neither. It is subscription based, correct. It's based on the amount of revenue that you're managing in the platform. So we have a number of different tiers. And then depending on which tier, which is a tier being the amount of revenue, so whether it's 500,000, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, then we charge a fixed fee against that tier. If anybody wants to drop me specific questions or reach out to me, daved.wallace@cloudmore.com, I can be a lot more specific with my answers, or we can arrange a one-to-one session to go over it in more detail.
Perfect, yeah. And another member of our sales team will also follow up just to make sure that we have covered everything you need us to cover today, and just to explore your interest in Cloudmore. So that concludes today's webinar. I'd like to thank you very much for joining, and as I said, we will chat to you very soon.